All right. Hey, how you doing? My name is Eric, and I'm gonna go over the three-step rapport building method. It's a killer technique. So pretty much, all right. So you got three things. When we're starting off, trying to sell anybody anything, you got to know where you are in the relationship, and this is very important, right? Where are we at in the relationship? You have to know that. Because if I'm trying to refer a product service to you, aka pitch you something or sell you something, right here in stage one, you're not going to buy anything. Why? Because you're not going to trust me. Why? Because I am a stranger, right? You do not know me. I'm a stranger. For example, I go to somebody, a random person approaches a window telling you to roll down your window. Most likely, you're not going to roll down the window because they don't know you. They're a stranger. So that's what happens when you first meet somebody. So when you first meet somebody, it's a stranger, right? It's a, let me just get rid of this right here. It's an intro, it's an introduction. And this is how you go from step one to step two, which is actually being an acquaintance. But we'll get there. So an introduction. When you go to some anybody, you want to build rapport. You got to realize that hey, in this relationship, I'm still pretty much a complete stranger. Let me go ahead and make an introduction. And an introduction is composed of two things. Tell them who you are, right? Everybody has a name. What's your name? And tell them what you do. And what you do has to be congruent. All right, let me just put that up. What you do has to be congruent to their goals, or they won't listen to you. For an example, you got a person, right? This person is like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Their computer is completely broken. And this is their mouse. I promise you, this is a computer. Their computer is completely fried. They got this just completely jacked up, right? So here comes me. Here comes me. Hey, I say I fix computers. I fix computers, right? I tell them who I am. My name is Eric, and I fix computers. All of a sudden, now within the relationship, you're going to have two people talking to each other, and people are going to be happy in the in this relationship. Now, I have moved from an introduction, and I moved to stage two, which is being an acquaintance. All right, so I'm an acquaintance. I promise you, I can draw better than that. But for the generalized concept of the whole thing, you understand what I'm talking about. So I go from stage one to stage two to being an acquaintance, right? So now I'm at stage two. I am an acquaintance. I'm an acquaintance now, right? So how do I go from being an acquaintance, stage two, to being a trusted advisor? Right? Because once I'm a trusted advisor, I can now do this. Right? I can do my sales pitch, right? I can sell them something. All right? Or the mindset we want to have is I can help them. I can refer a product and or service to them to help them. So how do I go from stage two to being, a trusted advisor? It's all about one thing, and it's about this right here. If you don't remember anything from this video, take this away. Remember this: customer education. You have to educate your customer about your product and service. So if it's about, a computer, I kind of educate them about computers, however which way I feel, I can do that. Educate them. I have to educate them, right? I have to teach them, right? Let me back. I have to pretty much teach them something that they do not know, right? So here's my little ruler and here's my board, and I'm teaching them, right? I have to teach them something that they do not know. And here's my little cool hat, right? So I have to teach my prospective um, client or customers. I promise you, those are people. I have to teach them something that they do not know. All right. So when I educate them, customer education, and when I teach them something they do not know, this is what would happen. See that word? That trust right there? It goes up, it shoots through the roof. Why? Because I'm educating them. Because the conversation they're having in their mind, their mind, they're like, wow, this guy obviously knows more than me. So what? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to open up an ear and I'm going to listen. I promise you that's an ear. Right? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to open my ear up and I'm going to listen. And it's very important for them not only to actually listen to you, but they should want to listen to you. They should desire to listen to you. So now once I, go from the introduction, right, being a complete stranger, I'm on to phase two, right, which I'm pretty much an acquaintance and I start with the education, right? I educate them. Now I can go from stage two to stage three. Stage three is what? A trusted advisor, right? So now I'm a trusted advisor because I've educated my client, I've educated them. Now I am a trusted advisor, and when I'm a trusted advisor, now I can pretty much refer a product and or service. So now, going back to the broke computer situation, right? This is me, and I'm referring a product. I tell you, this is terrible. I can't draw today. But I'm referring a product and or service to my client. So my client is going to just be listening, you know, say it's a woman. They're going to be listening, right? And I'll refer my product and or service. Um, and pretty much at the end of that ordeal, you have two people that's happy, right? Because they made a deal, right? They made a deal. So you got two people that's happy because they made a deal. And that is pretty much the concept that you want to understand when you want to go in building actual, rapport. You want to go from an introduction, a stranger, stage one, to a stage two, which is being an acquaintance. And then you want to go from stage two to stage three to being a customer, excuse me, a trusted advisor for the actual potential client, the customer. All right, and how do I get there? From stage one, stage two, and stage three, what is the trend? What is the transportation that's going to get me there? It's going to be my intro, which is composed of who I am and what I do. And what I do has to have some sort of congruency with their goals, right? So, introduction as an intro. Let me just kind of get rid of that right there so you can understand this because it's very important for you to understand this. So that's the introduction, and that introduction has to have some sort of congruency with their goals, right? So once I have that introduction and I have some sort of congruency with their goals, now I'm on an acquaintance. And how do I get from an acquaintance, which is stage two, to stage three? It's all about education, right? I have to educate them, and that will get me to the point where I need to be to make the sale or help them. So I hope that pretty much gets you to understand pretty much the concept of it and the concept of building relationships and trying to get and build some rapport. Definitely head over to my podcast. I kind of go over this more in detail. And a podcast again, you can find it at knowledgeandbusiness.com. All right, have a good one.